Hey guys, welcome to my garage. Coming to you from my little place of dwelling today. Just wanted to show you this car here over my shoulder. 63.5 Falcon Futura Convertible. Now that's been in the family, I think about 6 years now, 7 years. Bought it with the original intention of for my daughter to drive to school. She's a bit older now and not driving it. A number of reasons went into that thought process, but we just decided it wasn't really the safest and most practical car for her to be taken to school every day as a 16-year-old. But the coolest, no doubt, but not necessarily the safest with all the ABS and airbags and pretension seat belts and all the stuff that goes with it, and 911 assist that it was in the car that we ended up actually getting her. But this car does have a story, so let me show you around it and I'll share it with you. So here it is. Now, as I said, 63.5, so it is a V8. It's the 260, which was actually called a Challenger V8. Ford called it a Challenger, obviously before the Dodge came out with Challenger, but it was a Challenger V8. It came by my shop kind of accidentally. It rolled up on the back of a flatbed one day, and and the tow truck driver jumps out and says, "This is for you," and I'm like, "I don't know anything about it." I'm like, "Not a thing." And he goes, "Oh, that's odd." Anyway, a few minutes later, the owner rolls up, and turns out it was actually meant to go to a shop, about half a mile down the road, just a regular mechanical shop. And the tow truck driver thought he was talking, when the guy said the place on West Main Street, he thought he was talking about my shop. So I probably owe the tow truck driver a bourbon for that, I would think. So anyway, he brought it to my place, and owner showed up, and I'm like, "Okay, well, we can look after it for you. What's the problem?" And it hadn't been driven for quite a number of years. So it was his wife's car that she got from a gift from her dad for graduating college, and they bought it off the original owner, which was also a lady, and she got a similar, through a similar sort of situation where the parents had bought it for her. This was her little drive car. Now, if anyone's wondering, the pink fluffy dice are definitely my daughter's, okay, not mine. Just saying. So anyway, so this is technically the third, she's the third lady owner of this car, the 3 owners in its entire lifetime. So anyway, he said, they hadn't been running for a few years. The wife had decided to, it was time to part company with it. And so I said, okay, well, and he wanted to get it running. So I'm like, okay. So we had a look around the car, and I'm like, wow, this is, it's not immaculate, it's not perfect, it's got paint issues. It's not new, but this is original paint, guys. This is how it came out of the factory. And you can see on some of the factory joins, stuff like this, where the panel's leaded in. Some of it's failing up here where it's leaded in. There's some failure points, no doubt. But the bones are just second to none. I kind of quickly scrambled under it and had a look, and let me show you in the trunk one of the things that kind of impressed me. I'm used to going into the trunks of cars and looking at the ground. This one, it's got the original little tonneau cover for the convertible, original mat in the back, and not only is there a floor in it, it's still painted blue. It's not rust brown like they usually are. So I'm looking at it, the car, and I'm assessing it and thinking, I need to own this car. So anyway, I said to the owner, look, it's not running. We don't really know anything about it. Is the engine any good? All these things were unknown. And I said, look, I'd be interested in buying it. This is the ideal car for my daughter. And, a deal was struck, and about 20 minutes later, I was on my way to the bank to get some money. I did pay a little bit for it. It was a pretty fair deal, but he knew what it was. So I didn't get it, for nothing, but as I tell my customers all the time, the more you pay and the better car you can get going in, the less it's going to cost you, on the back end. So you pay a bit more at the front end for a better car, and you'll pay less at the back end. And I kind of said to myself, man, you got to listen to your own advice. This is a bit more than I wanted to spend, but the car is superb. It's been garaged all its life. It's a wonderful little car. And I took a little bit of a risk because I didn't know if the engine was any good. Didn't even know if the top worked. It arrived with the top down like this. So the battery was long since dead. So I just bought it as is. And we got it going, got a battery for it, got it going, got some fresh gas in it, did the brakes, all that kind of fun stuff. And it's a good little car. The engine is not bad. It's not great. It's a little slow with the oil light coming off when you fire her up when she's not run a while. And, the bearings are probably a little bit of wear in there. But it's pretty quiet. I'll fire it up for her. See, she hasn't actually been started for a little while, so let's... Just need a tap of gas. There we go. I added the dual exhaust to it. Got to have it, it has to be known that it's a V8. It's got the twin exhausts out the back. It's just got a little burble without being rowdy, So yeah, I struck a deal with a gentleman, bought it, and we've owned it ever since. And now, my daughter drives it occasionally. We've used it on she took it to prom, and we've done a couple of weddings in it and stuff like that. And people love the car, and it's kind of a cool car to drive around, and it's amazing. And she just flipped the hood for you. Amazing how many people want to stop and talk to you. I'm trying to hold the camera and do all this at the same time. You can tell I've forgotten where that is. Now, so here's the engine. Factory power steering. Got its original little water bag washers. It's a little bit dirty, but we've really just left it pretty much as I could as it was. You can see we got a little bit of blow-by going on. There's a bit of oil under the hood. As I said, it's not new, but it's a solid runner. One of these days we'll dig into it and freshen the engine. It's got 2-speed automatic, which would be nice to update that to a 3-speed, to be honest, but then you get away from the originality, so the jury's out on that one, so to speak. But yeah, it's just an awesome, fun little cruiser. So got the battery in it and tested the top, and that's exactly what it did, when we first tried. So yeah, engine ran, sounded decent, top works. Top's a bit older looking, it's got some faded bits in it. But honestly, I think, maybe I'm biased, I think the back window needs a bit of love because the zips decided to part company, like the zipper's unzipped without actually unzipping it. That's on the list of things to do. But honestly, most of the time we drive it with the top down. It doesn't have to be a fair weather car, but I just, honestly, it's so rust free, I don't really want to take it out in the rain. So yeah, so that's kind of the story of the 63.5 Falcon. This is quite a rare car. They didn't make many of them. They made 4,600 of the V8 convertibles, a lot more. If you add the V8s and 6s together, it's a lot more. But just the V8 ones, which they only introduced the V8 in the second half of 63, which is why they're 63.5. The other thing, I added the wheels. We've still got all the original 13-inch wheels and hubcaps, so we put it up to 15-inch wheels, and I put some leftover Mustang brakes on it. So it's got the bigger drums than the Falcon originally had. But it was it's a 5-lug car because it's a V8. So the 6 cylinders were like the Mustang's only 4-lug. So this is a 5-lug car. Yeah. So there you go. That's the story of my daughter's little Falcon. So yeah, very cool cruiser. If anyone's interested, it's not for sale. I wouldn't part company with this one. It's just, where would I find another one in this kind of condition? You know, that's my dilemma. You know, so it takes up space in the garage a little bit at times, and you think, what are we doing with this car? We don't use it much, but for the amount of money invested and the kind of the pleasure that it brings, it's like, why would you sell it? You know, really, why would you sell it? So yeah, there you go. A couple of you guys have asked about it. There's the story. Hope you found it interesting, and have a good night, good day, whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you on the next one. Take it easy, guys.